It's not enough just to say you're for something. You may actually have to do something and possibly sacrifice a little bit.
Former President Barack Obama has finally broken his silence, delivering a blistering critique of Trump's White House press secretary, Karoline Leavitt. As tensions reach a boiling point in Washington, Obama's pointed remarks about loyalty, truth, and democratic values directly challenge Leavitt's unwavering defense of controversial policies. Obama speaks out. Former President Barack Obama has recently broken his silence regarding the current administration, particularly targeting White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt's unwavering loyalty to President Donald Trump. As tensions continue to rise in Washington, Obama's criticism has ignited significant debate about the role of the press secretary and the relationship between truth and political allegiance in the White House. In a powerful speech at Hamilton College, Obama didn't mince words about the current state of American politics, emphasizing the importance of taking action rather than merely expressing support for ideals.
It's been easy during most of our lifetimes to say you are progressive, or say you are for social justice, or say you're for free speech, and not have to pay a price for it. And now we're at one of those moments where, you know what, it's not enough just to say you're for something. You may actually have to do something and possibly sacrifice a little bit.
The former president's words seem particularly pointed in the context of Leavitt's role as Trump's press secretary, where she has consistently defended the administration's policies, often in the face of significant criticism. Obama has expressed concern about Trump's immigration enforcement, especially the zero-tolerance policy that led to family separations at the border, highlighting what many see as a stark contrast to his own administration's approach. While Obama hasn't directly named Leavitt in his criticisms, the connection between his concerns and her position as the public face defending Trump's policies is unmistakable. As revealed in the comprehensive research analysis, Obama's criticisms of Trump's immigration policies directly conflict with the positions Leavitt defends in her role as press secretary. Obama's approach to immigration during his presidency focused on targeted deportations, prioritizing serious criminals over families, as outlined in his 2014 executive actions. In contrast, Leavitt has publicly supported the current administration's broader deportation efforts, which include all undocumented immigrants. In one notable press briefing, Leavitt characterized all illegal immigrants as criminals for breaking immigration laws, representing a significant departure from Obama's more nuanced approach. The former president has also been vocal about his opposition to divisive rhetoric that portrays immigrants as threats, contrasting sharply with Leavitt's communication strategy. During a CNN interview, Obama criticized Trump's lack of preparation and divisive language, particularly on immigration, highlighting the philosophical differences between the two administrations. In another forceful statement at Hamilton College, Obama connected democratic values to everyday economic concerns.
Well, you know what? It's about to affect the price of eggs. One of the things that has distinguished us in the past has been this basic idea that we are a rules-based society. What that means is that, you know what, I can support one candidate instead of another, and I don't have to worry that the police are going to come harass me or my customers.
This statement appears to be addressing concerns about the Trump administration's use of executive power, which some critics have characterized as overreaching. Obama's emphasis on the importance of maintaining democratic norms, even when they seem abstract, suggests a deep concern about the direction of the current administration. The clash between Obama's views and Leavitt's defense of Trump's policies extends beyond immigration. Obama has criticized Trump's use of executive orders, such as attempts to end birthright citizenship, arguing they were unconstitutional and politically motivated. In contrast, Leavitt has defended these actions, stating in a press briefing, "This administration believes that birthright citizenship is unconstitutional," directly countering Obama's position on the legality and morality of such actions. The former Vice President, Kamala Harris, has also joined Obama in criticizing the current administration's actions. In a recent statement, Harris expressed concern about the predictability of Trump's controversial policies.
Because, there were many things that we knew would happen. Many things. I'm not here, so I told you so.
Harris's comments reflect a growing sentiment among Democrats that the current administration's actions, while alarming, are not surprising given Trump's previous tenure. This perspective adds weight to Obama's criticisms, suggesting a pattern of behavior rather than isolated incidents. The rivalry between Obama and Trump has deep roots, stretching back to Trump's promotion of the birther conspiracy theory during Obama's presidency. This personal attack, which falsely claimed Obama was not born in the U.S., deeply affected the former president and has contributed to his ongoing opposition to Trump's political agenda. According to Bill Daley, Obama's chief of staff in 2011, "You cannot underestimate the birth certificate thing. That was an attempt to totally discredit his credibility as a person." This history adds context to Obama's current criticisms, suggesting that his concerns about Leavitt's role in the Trump administration are part of a broader pattern of opposition to what he perceives as attacks on democratic norms and institutions. Despite this contentious history, there have been moments of civility between Trump and Obama. At Jimmy Carter's state funeral on January 9, 2025, the two were photographed speaking, and Trump later told Fox News that they probably do like each other, describing their interaction as very friendly. This glimpse of personal rapport amid their political rivalry adds an interesting dimension to Obama's public criticisms of Trump's administration and Leavitt's role within it. The relationship between Obama and Trump continues to evolve, with Trump recently expressing interest in a hypothetical 2028 presidential matchup with Obama, despite constitutional limits under the 22nd Amendment. On March 31st, 2025, Trump told reporters, "I'd love that, boy, I'd love that," about facing Obama, reflecting his ongoing perception of Obama as a significant rival. As Obama continues to speak out against the current administration, his criticisms of Leavitt's role as press secretary highlight broader concerns about the future of American democracy. His emphasis on the need for action rather than merely words suggests a call for accountability and a return to democratic norms that he believes are under threat. In a recent CNN interview, political commentator and Democratic strategist Paul Begala highlighted the significance of Obama's timing and influence.
One of President Obama's great gifts in politics is timing. He's not out there in your face every day. He's the way Trump has to be, he's the president, okay? But he picks his moments and he knows what he is doing.
Begala's analysis underscores the strategic nature of Obama's public statements, suggesting that his criticism of Leavitt and the Trump administration is not merely reactive, but calculated to have maximum impact. As Leavitt continues to defend Trump's policies as White House press secretary, the contrast between her approach and Obama's vision for America remains stark. The former president's criticisms highlight not only policy differences, but fundamental disagreements about the role of government, the treatment of immigrants, and the importance of democratic norms in American society. Leavitt's unwavering loyalty to Trump and its implications. Karoline Leavitt's loyalty to President Donald Trump has been a defining characteristic of her role as White House press secretary, drawing both praise from supporters and criticism from opponents. At just 27 years old, Leavitt has become the youngest person to hold this influential position, and her unwavering devotion to Trump has raised questions about the balance between loyalty to the president and commitment to factual reporting. Leavitt's journey to becoming press secretary began with her early involvement in Trump's first administration, where she served as an intern in the White House Office of Presidential Correspondence before advancing to an assistant press secretary role. During this time, she claimed to fight against what she perceived as biased mainstream media, aligning herself with Trump's narrative about fake news. This early alignment with Trump's messaging foreshadowed her current approach to the press secretary position. After Trump's 2020 election loss, Leavitt maintained her connection to his political circle by working as the communications director for New York Representative Elise Stefanik, a staunch Trump ally. In 2021, she launched a congressional campaign in New Hampshire's 1st District on a distinctly MAGA platform, emphasizing policies like tax cuts and strong borders that mirrored Trump's priorities. Notably, her campaign amplified the false belief that the 2020 election was stolen from Trump, distinguishing her from other primary opponents and further cementing her loyalty to the former president. A pivotal moment in Leavitt's relationship with Trump came in March 2022 when she met him at Mar-a-Lago during a fundraising event. This meeting proved crucial as she secured Trump's non-endorsement of her Republican opponent Matt Mowers, which helped her win the September 2022 primary by nearly 7,000 votes, despite early polls showing her at only 7%. Following her primary victory, Trump publicly congratulated her on X, formerly Twitter, stating, "Amazing job by Karoline Leavitt in her great New Hampshire victory. Against all odds, she did it, and will have an even greater victory on November 8th. Wonderful energy and wisdom." Although Leavitt lost the general election to Democrat Chris Pappas, her loyalty to Trump remained steadfast. In a telling exchange after her loss, Trump reportedly told her, "They cheated you out of it," while expressing gladness she lost, as it led to her current role as press secretary. This interaction highlights the mutual loyalty between Trump and Leavitt, with Trump valuing her dedication even in defeat. Since assuming the role of White House press secretary in 2025, Leavitt has continued to demonstrate her loyalty to Trump through her defense of his policies and actions. Trump's confidence in her was evident in his announcement of her appointment, praising her as smart, tough, and highly effective, and expressing confidence in her ability to deliver his message. The depth of Leavitt's loyalty is perhaps most apparent in her handling of press briefings, where she consistently defends Trump's policies against criticism. Her approach has been described in Politico as showing unusually steady, unblinking devotion to the president. This steadfast defense extends to controversial issues, such as when she struggled to explain Trump's executive order targeting Chris Krebs, the former director of the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. In that particular instance, when pressed about potential abuse of power, Leavitt responded, "Look, the president signed that executive order. It's the position of the president in this White House that it's well within his authority to do it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have signed it." This response exemplifies her tendency to justify Trump's actions without addressing underlying concerns, reflecting her primary loyalty to the president rather than to addressing potential hypocrisy. Leavitt's media interactions further illustrate her devotion to Trump's messaging. She has been described as slick, pugnacious, and fiercely loyal, fostering hostility with the press, much like her boss. This approach has earned her praise from Trump supporters, including Trump himself, who has publicly commended her performance.
Karoline, look at you, huh? They said, sir, she's just too young. And I said, I don't know about that. She did awfully good because she did it during the campaign and she was awfully good. And she's been amazing.
Trump's praise continues.
Everyone's talking about you. Thank you very much. Great.
Leavitt's loyalty is also evident in how she speaks about Trump, consistently expressing complete faith in his decision-making.
Trust in President Trump. He knows what he's doing. This is a proven economic force.
This unwavering confidence in Trump extends to her defense of his economic policies, despite concerns from economists about potential negative impacts.
Every day, the president is signing executive orders to cut regulation, especially when it comes to Environmental Protection Agency, our energy industry. That's going to unleash the economic boom in this country that we saw in the president's first.
However, Leavitt's loyalty to Trump has drawn criticism for potentially compromising her commitment to factual reporting. During a press briefing covered by The Guardian, she was asked about balancing loyalty to the president with loyalty to facts. Her response, "I commit to telling the truth from this podium every single day. I commit to speaking on behalf of the President of the United States," was seen by some as prioritizing Trump's narrative over objective truth, especially given his history of disputed claims. Critics have drawn unsettling parallels between Leavitt's role and spokespeople in authoritarian regimes. The Guardian article notes, Trump's press secretaries are usually performing for an audience of one. Just as he expects his generals to be as loyal as Hitler's, he expects his spokespeople to spin like Kim Jong-un's. This comparison implies that Leavitt's loyalty may lead her to spin information in ways that mirror Trump's views, potentially at the expense of journalistic integrity. Joe Lockhart, a former Clinton press secretary, offered a particularly pointed criticism of Leavitt, stating that she focuses solely on pleasing Trump and his base. "They're always only speaking to their own people. They do not care about the rest of us, because they don't need those people to keep Republicans in charge." This criticism suggests that her loyalty limits her ability to engage with a broader audience, potentially alienating those outside Trump's supporter base and reducing the press secretary's role as a bridge between the administration and the public. One of the most revealing instances of Leavitt's loyalty to Trump occurred during a March 19, 2025 press briefing, where she criticized U.S. District Judge James Boasberg for blocking the Trump administration's deportation efforts under the Alien Enemies Act. In her criticism, Leavitt made a significant factual error that was immediately corrected by a reporter.
In this Judge Boasberg is a Democrat activist. He was appointed by Barack Obama. His wife has donated more than $10,000 to Democrats, and he has consistently shown his disdain for this president and his policies, and it's unacceptable.
The reporter goes,
I wanted to go about the idea that these people are all foreign terrorists, but Judge Boasberg was originally appointed by George W. Bush and then elevated by Barack Obama. I just feel like I should clear that up.
Rather than acknowledging the correction, Leavitt pivoted to a different argument about judicial bias against Trump.
67% of all of the injunctions in this century have come against which president? Donald J. Trump. Let me say that again. 60% of the injunctions by partisan activists in the judicial branch have come against President Donald Trump, and 92% of those have been from Democrat-appointed judges.
This incident highlights what some perceive as a tendency to prioritize loyalty to Trump's narrative over factual accuracy, even when presented with immediate corrections. The tension between Leavitt's role as press secretary and expectations of transparency and independence is particularly evident in the context of Trump's deportation policies. During an ABC News interview with Terry Moran, Trump defended controversial deportation practices, including the deportation of Venezuelans to El Salvador without due process. When Moran pressed about the legal requirement for hearings before deportation, Trump responded dismissively, "If you're going to have 21 million people and we have to get a lot of them out because they're criminals, we're going to have to act fast. We can't. Do you think we can give 21 million trials?" As the public face, defending these policies, Leavitt faces the challenge of justifying actions that critics like Obama have condemned as violations of democratic norms and human rights. Her continued loyalty to Trump in the face of these controversies underscores the complexity of her position and the tension between personal loyalty and institutional responsibility. Leavitt's loyalty to Trump has also influenced her relationship with Obama, as she has made limited statements about the former president, focusing primarily on policy comparisons rather than personal attacks. In a February 21, 2025 press briefing, she noted that Trump had signed more executive orders in his first month than Obama did over the same period, and mentioned that the Senate confirmed more cabinet-level nominees than at this point under the Obama administration in 2009. These comparisons appear designed to emphasize Trump's efficiency rather than directly criticize Obama's legacy. As Leavitt continues in her role as White House press secretary, her unwavering loyalty to Trump remains her defining characteristic. While this loyalty has earned her praise from Trump and his supporters, it has also raised significant questions about the balance between personal allegiance and professional responsibility, particularly in the context of democratic norms and institutional integrity that Obama has repeatedly emphasized as essential to American democracy. The clash of visions and democratic principles. The escalating tension between former President Barack Obama and White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt represents more than a personal disagreement. It embodies a fundamental clash of visions for America's democratic future, as Obama breaks his silence to criticize the current administration, and Leavitt stands firmly by President Trump's policies. Their contrasting approaches highlight broader questions about truth, loyalty, and the preservation of democratic norms in an increasingly polarized political landscape. Obama's recent public statements reflect his growing concern about the erosion of democratic principles under the Trump administration. In a powerful address, he emphasized the necessity of citizen engagement in preserving democracy.
It is up to all of us to fix this. It's not going to be because somebody comes and saves you. The most important office in this democracy is the citizen, the ordinary person who says, no, that's not right.
This call to action stands in stark contrast to Leavitt's approach as press secretary, where her primary focus appears to be defending Trump's policies regardless of criticism. The divergence in their perspectives is particularly evident in their views on immigration policy, a key point of contention between the Obama and Trump administrations. During Obama's presidency, his administration was known for targeted deportations, focusing on felons rather than families, as outlined in his 2014 executive actions. He emphasized the need for humane and comprehensive reform, balancing enforcement with compassion. In contrast, Leavitt has defended the Trump administration's broader deportation efforts, which include all undocumented immigrants. In her first press briefing, she emphasized the administration's focus on deporting heinous illegal immigrant criminals, while also claiming that all illegal immigrants are criminals for breaking immigration laws. This philosophical difference extends to their views on executive power and the role of the judiciary. Obama has criticized criticized Trump's use of executive orders to challenge birthright citizenship, arguing they were unconstitutional and politically motivated. In contrast, Leavitt has defended these actions, framing them as necessary measures to address immigration concerns. The clash between Obama and Leavitt also highlights differing perspectives on the role of truth in political discourse. Obama's emphasis on democratic norms includes a commitment to factual accuracy and transparency. In his recent speech, he stressed the importance of standing by principles even when it's difficult.
Equality? Are we willing to fight for it? Are we going to risk something for it? We say that we're for rule of law. Are we going to stick to that when it's tough, not when it's easy? We believe in freedom of speech. Do we stand up for freedom of speech when the other person talking is saying stuff that infuriates us and is wrong and hurtful? Who are we as a country, and what values do we stand for?
This commitment to principles contrasts with what critics perceive as Leavitt's prioritization of loyalty to Trump over factual accuracy. The incident where she mischaracterized Judge Boasberg's appointment, claiming he was appointed by Obama when he was initially appointed by George W. Bush, exemplifies this tension. Despite being corrected in real time, Leavitt pivoted to different talking points rather than acknowledging the error. The stakes of this clash extend beyond personal disagreements to the fundamental health of American democracy. Obama has warned about the tangible consequences of eroding democratic norms.
That's what happens in other places. That's what happens in Russia. You know, we take for granted the idea that we don't have to pay bribes or hire somebody's cousin in order to get a business permit.
These concerns take on added weight in light of recent controversies surrounding the Trump administration's deportation practices. In an ABC News interview with Terry Moran, Trump defended his administration's deportation of Venezuelans to El Salvador, dismissing questions about due process with the statement, "We can't have a trial, a major trial for every person that came in illegally. We have thousands of murderers that came in. They're going to murder people. They already have murdered people in our country. We have to get them out. We have to get them out fast." This approach has drawn criticism from unexpected quarters. Joe Rogan, a popular podcaster and Trump supporter, expressed concern about rounding up gang members and shipping them to El Salvador with no due process, warning, "We got to be careful that we don't become monsters while we're fighting monsters." This criticism from a Trump supporter highlights the breadth of concern about the administration's methods, even among those ideologically aligned with the president. As Leavitt continues to defend these controversial policies, the contrast with Obama's vision for America becomes increasingly stark. Their clash represents not just a disagreement about specific policies, but a fundamental disagreement about the nature of American democracy and the responsibilities of those in positions of power. The economic dimension of this clash has also become increasingly prominent, with Obama warning that democratic principles are not abstract concepts, but have real-world implications for Americans' financial well-being. Former Vice President Kamala Harris echoed these concerns in a recent statement.
Each day in these last few months in our country, and it understandably creates a great sense of fear.
This economic anxiety is evident in recent polls and political analysis. Democratic strategist Paul Begala highlighted the connection between economic concerns and broader democratic issues, noting that Americans who supported Trump for economic reasons may be reconsidering as they face higher costs for essential goods. The people who moved and put Trump in, they put him in because the cost of living was too high, and he is raising the cost of their groceries, gas, and rent, Begala observed. The economic impact of Trump's policies, particularly his tariffs, has become a flashpoint for criticism. During his ABC News interview, Trump defended his trade policies despite concerns about their economic consequences, insisting, "Everything's going to be just fine." When pressed about the impact on small businesses that rely on overseas sourcing, Trump dismissed these concerns, stating, "I've been here for 3 months. I've taken a trade deficit down to a number that's very starting to get really good. I just got here." This economic tension is reflected in the growing protest movement against the Trump administration, which some analysts compare to the Tea Party movement that emerged during Obama's presidency. Political consultant Kristen Soltis Anderson warned Republicans that Democrats are most feeling fury in response to the administration's actions, suggesting that this anger could translate into significant political mobilization. The clash between Obama and Leavitt also highlights differing approaches to presidential communication. Obama's carefully timed interventions contrast with Trump's more frequent and spontaneous extraneous communications, often defended and amplified by Leavitt. Political commentator Paul Begala praised Obama's strategic approach, noting, "He's not out there in your face every day. He's the way Trump has to be as the president, okay? But he picks his moments and he knows what he is doing." As the rivalry between Obama and Trump continues to shape American politics, Leavitt's role as the public face of the Trump administration places her at the center of this ideological conflict. Her unwavering loyalty to Trump and her defense of his controversial policies stand in stark contrast to Obama's emphasis on democratic norms and the rule of law. The consequences of this clash extend beyond political disagreements to fundamental questions about the future of American democracy. Obama's warnings about the erosion of democratic norms under the Trump administration and Leavitt's steadfast defense of Trump's actions represent competing visions for America's identity and values. In his address, Obama emphasized the concrete impacts of democratic principles on everyday life.
That's how we built the economy we did. That's why this place worked. And it has very concrete impacts on all of our lives.
This perspective stands in contrast to what critics perceive as the Trump administration's willingness to bend or break democratic norms in pursuit of policy goals. As Leavitt continues to defend the administration's actions, and Obama continues to speak out against what he sees as threats to American democracy, their clash serves as a microcosm of the broader political divisions facing the country. The ongoing conflict between these contrasting visions represents not just a political disagreement, but a fundamental debate about the nature of American democracy and the responsibilities of those who hold power. As citizens navigate this polarized landscape, the tension between Obama's emphasis on democratic principles and Leavitt's loyalty to Trump highlights the challenging questions facing the nation about truth, loyalty, and the preservation of democratic norms in an increasingly divided political environment. If you loved this video, click on the card showing on your screen for more videos like this.